Alright guys, this is a big one. The information that you hear in this video today is literally going to change your life, and I guarantee you, you're not going to hear this anywhere else. Yeah, it's that serious. This is a topic that I've been mulling over the last year, and I've really been thinking through all the additional steps to actually change your life and actually be able to retire early with just using credit cards. It seems crazy because we have people like Dave Ramsey out there who are against using credit cards to build debt, to be able to build a future for yourself, and he's thoroughly against it. He wants debit cards only.
And one of the biggest ways they do it is through the points. Because you know how the points work. They don't say it's $500. They say you're going to get 128,000 points that you can use to redeem flights that cost $74,000. And the points change every day. And there's blackout dates and there's restrictions. And on top of that, the whole 2% cash back, that one is one of my favorites. Because you know what 2% of $1,000 is?
$20.
$20 to spend $1,000. And that's not a great deal.
So let me get this straight. If you spend $10,000, you get $200.
Ding, ding, ding.
That'll make you rich.
Yeah.
Spend 10,000, get 200. That's a formula for wealth building right there.
Yeah.
Did you people go to grade school?
But some of us aren't necessarily in debt right now, and we do have a control on our finances. Well, that's why you're here with Anthony Venture, because I, as a real estate agent and someone who has dabbled in a lot of the financial markets, I've been able to put it all together in a nice harmonious package that can at least get you from $0 to $100,000 in your bank account. So how does this all stem from credit cards? Well, I have three parts to how you can actually use credit cards and their associated points to be gaining wealth for the future. The three parts are as follows. Number one is going to be going into credit scores and everything that's associated with that and how that's going to help you for the future. Number two is going to be real estate and how we could potentially buy a house in just a couple of years of using credit cards. And number three is going to be talking about the stock market and what you could be doing for the future. Again, all connected to credit card points. So sit tight, enjoy, because this is going to be one that I'm really excited about. So number one, we're talking about credit scores. Now, as long as I can remember back in the past, my dad used to tell me that if I had a good credit score, it meant that I called the shots in any establishment I went to, banks, dealerships. I was going to get the most favorable rates possible, because now I'm just competing against the sea of people that don't have that great of credit. Now, this video is not about how to get an 850 credit score. It is only talking about the benefits. But if you want a quick rundown, if you have a nothing credit score right now, you have nothing, go to Capital One and get their secured credit card. You're going to have to put down a deposit of around $50. They're going to be giving you a credit limit of $200. This is essentially a shoe-in to allow you to get guaranteed for a credit card, whereas everyone else will deny you. Once you have that, you're going to be putting small purchases on it every single month. Buy a pack of gum, buy a bottle of water. It does not matter. Use this as long as possible. What this is essentially going to do is every time you make a payment, $5, $10, it's going to go right to the banks. You're going to pay it off within just a few days. And you're going to keep doing this process every few days, and you're going to do it for the next year. At the end of a year, literally, this is all you need to do, is just to buy something, pay it on time, do it for a year. I guarantee you'll go from a 500 credit score to about high 600s, maybe even break into the 700 credit scores, which is exactly what happened for me, actually. Okay, good, great, grand. Now we have a good credit score. So now let's go into number two, which is how we're going to start building wealth with our good credit scores and credit cards as a whole. So now, once you made it to this point in your career where you're at a 700 credit score or higher, you can now play around a little bit and play the game that a lot of us on YouTube do, which is credit card churning. Not supposed to say that. This is essentially applying for and getting approved for a bunch of different credit cards for the sake of the sign-up bonus. Sign-up bonuses are essentially just offers that the banks give you for applying for their credit card. It's essentially just pulling your attention from one bank to another. American Express might offer this. Capital One might offer this. The main goal is, let's give them bonuses so that we get their business. Do you follow? Now, of course, a side thing that also includes a lot of different value, which is getting credit cards to actually work with your personal situation. Like me, for an example, I was driving a lot as a driving teacher in New York, so I needed to spend a lot of money on gas. What did I do? I got a credit card that actually gave me percentages back on all of my gas spent, so this way I was making a little bit of money on the money that I'm spending. Maybe a card like the Amex Gold card that has a high sign-up bonus, and it also gives you a lot of bonuses towards grocery spend and restaurant spend, right? Everybody's gonna eat, so a card like that would be necessary. Pretty much anything in life that you pay for, you could probably find a credit card for that, so this way you get some money back for all the money that you're spending normally. This is not only going to help you with those multipliers by giving you points back, but you're also going to be able to hit those sign-up bonuses, so this way you get the massive amount of points all in a lump sum as well. And that we're going to actually use for the future. So now, there comes a point in your credit journey, which it did for mine, where you get a little bit crazy and you start applying for a lot of different credit cards. Now I'm talking, so for me, I ended up getting the Amex Green, the Amex Gold, and the Platinum card all within the same year, I believe, which yielded about 150,000 American Express points. So that was a bulk of what I actually have today, which is closer to about 500,000. So this is okay. This is mainly for the responsible and the debt-free. So like we mentioned, step one was get debt free and just get a credit card, get a credit score. This step two is now you have a good credit score, you're debt free, and you're responsible with money, which means you can play around a little bit and start accumulating credit cards. Good, great, grand. So now that was our first year. So now this is 2 years in the future and we continued getting credit cards. So now let's consider for a second one scenario. Someone like myself, Anthony Venture, went crazy with American Express credit cards, right? And this is something that is very repeatable and very doable. Over this time period, I only had a salary of about $20,000, so I'm sure you're making more than I was at that time. So what I've been able to do in just 3 years was build up 500,000 American Express points. And let's stay on American Express just for this video. So why I want to talk about only American Express is because of this one thing that I learned. If you're unfamiliar, there is a credit card called the Charles Schwab Platinum card, and I got this last August. This credit card basically has all the same benefits as the typical Amex Platinum card, the vanilla version, but this one comes with one special bonus, which is you can actually take all of your membership award points, pool them together, and actually transfer them at a 1.1 cent per value ratio into a Charles Schwab brokerage account. And if you're unfamiliar, a brokerage account is essentially like a stock market account. You can put money in there and you can invest in stocks, etc. But why that is important is because every other card issuer like Chase and Capital One, very hard to actually take your points out at a high value ratio and nonetheless actually get it out in cash. Usually you can redeem them for gift cards, etc., etc. But with American Express and this specific credit card, you could actually get cash money. So the 500,000 points that I have, like I said, is actually about $5,500 in cash that I can pull out that I created almost out of thin air over the last 3 years. Now, why that is important is, well, real estate. Let's talk about real estate. Now, this is something I've been really thinking about, and I am a licensed real estate agent in Greenville, South Carolina, so who better to tell you than me? So what you can technically do for this theoretical person that for the next 3 years turns credit cards and gets 500,000 Amex points, you could technically pull out $5,500 in cash, and you can make that your down payment on your next home. That's right. There are banks out there right now that will let you put 3% down on your next house. So wait a second, $5,500, what's that going to cover? In my area, there are a ton of starter homes, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath for $200,000. Well, 3% of $200,000 is $6,000. So you're telling me that I could technically take that 500,000 Amex points and basically convert that to cash and make that my first down payment on my first home. Does that blow your mind? Because it blows my mind. One other interesting thing is all those points that you're actually converting to cash, normally in maybe some other instances, this would be a taxable event. But with Charles Schwab and being able to convert those points, it's not taxable whatsoever. So that's $5,500 in cash money that never had to be taxed in the first place. I guess you had to pay money to get the sign-up bonuses, but I digress. But wait a second. You might be saying, Anthony, I live in an area that like the lowest house is $300K. Well, okay, what's 3%? $9,000. Well, take the $5,500 and put it towards that. All you have to do is come up with an extra $3,500. Way better than the total $9,000, which would come out of your salary, come out of your pocket, right? And the really good thing is that all this time you've been building your credit score, right? And remember what I said at the beginning. If you have a 740 credit score or higher, all of these banks are going to be giving you the most favorable rates possible. So this way, your first home loan that you get on a house is going to be lower than some other people that have lower credit scores. So full circle, you got to have it all. And also you might be saying, wait a second, what if I'm a renter right now? What if I have to pay rent every single month? And this is really hard for me to go from renting to buying. I get this all the time. But since we are a credit card channel, there is something you could possibly do to kind of mitigate all of those costs. That's right. A lot of people have been talking about it, but it is the built credit card, right? So this is a credit card that's going to be giving you 1 point per dollar spent on all of your rent. Why this is important is, well, in life we have experiences, right? We don't want to just sleep for the rest of the weekend, right? We want to go on trips and have fun. So one thing you could possibly do is as you're getting ready and maybe you're churning, getting that credit score up, and then you're getting ready to buy that house, in the meantime, while you are a renter, you can get the built credit card and actually stack, and just, I mean stack, built reward points. And you might be asking, why is that important? Well, what you can possibly do is actually actually transfer all of your Bilt reward points over to Hyatt hotels, and that can basically pay for all of your stays throughout the entire year for hotel spend. Well, if you're someone like me who does not fly very often, but I drive everywhere, I have not had to pay for a hotel in over a year since discovering Hyatt hotels. And honestly, like super cheap stays if you book with points. Like I've stayed a million nights at places that were about 3,500 or 5,000 points, so that's like $35 or $50 worth of value. And for most people who are watching this, and if you are renters, you're probably paying about $2,000 every single month for your apartment. That's 24,000 Bilt points or 24,000 Hyatt points at the end of each year, which at 3,500 points a night pretty much pays for at least a week's worth of Hyatt hotels completely for free just because you use this credit card and you're renting for the time being. And then normally a cash price for 7 days at a Hyatt hotel would be about $2,000. So that's $2,000 that you're now saving that again you could put towards your down payment on your house.
While we're talking about real estate, why not we actually walk through some real estate as well? I figured while we're here, I'm editing, and I wanted to bring up some other point, which was, what if you don't want to use all of your Bilt points towards Hyatt hotels, Hyatt stays, so this way you can pay for your vacations? Well, I figured if that's something you don't want to do, another thing that you could possibly do is you could actually email Bilt directly, and you could ask them to take all of your membership reward points, convert it at a 1.5 cents per point value ratio, and put that towards a down payment on your first home. That's right, I did just say that. So if you're a person that pays your rent, $2,000 at the same example, every single year for 5 years. Over those 5 years, you will have accumulated over 100,000 Bilt points, which can then be converted at a 1.5 cents per value ratio, giving you about $1,500 worth of a down payment towards your next home. And if we just combine that to the example we gave with American Express cards of around $5,500, now you have $7,000 towards your down payment, which again, I guess for a house that's around 250K, well, there's your 3% right there. So really, there are a lot of different ways that you can use credit cards towards your down payment on your first house to be able to buy real estate. All right, let's get back to the computer so we can continue editing. Alrighty, let's get back to editing.
So why is buying real estate important? Well, why is it? Well, you get a lot of other benefits with owning real estate, right? Not only are you not throwing your money away, sorry to say, renting, you're now putting all of that money into a house that's actually coming back to you every single month. That's right. If you've ever actually looked at a chart of real estate, you can see that if you're paying $2,000 a month for your mortgage, about $1,800 or $1,700 of that is going to be interest, and about $300 of that is what's called principal. Principal is essentially just paying down the loan, which is coming back in your pocket because you're going to own the house in 30 years, right? So every single month you're actually saving $300. It's almost like a forced piggy bank, forced savings account that you're investing and saving into, which you will get back at the end of the year since it's now in your house. So you have an extra $3,600 every single year that you didn't have when you were renting. You also have appreciation. Houses typically, maybe not this market, but typically go up about 2% a year conservatively. So that 200K house or 300K house you bought is going to be gaining in value on average over like a 20-year period, $4,000 to $6,000 every single year, which again, you weren't getting that as a renter. So it once was a $2,000 rental payment just for staying in a place because you needed to, which would then over a 5-year period turn into about $10,000 in cash that went to the landlord and not to you, has come full circle to now you being the person that owns the home. In over a 5-year period of saving that $300 a month off the principal and maybe $4,000 to $6,000 in appreciation every single year over a 5-year period has now turned to over $30,000 back in your pocket. And if you just extrapolate that out to 10 years, 15 years, even 30 years if you keep that home, you could be in the gains of up to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And remember how this all started, folks. Credit card points. All you did was churn credit cards for a couple of years, just like I did. And you were able to take those points and buy real estate and change your entire life. Honestly, it gets me emotional because I talk to people every single day that are renting and they're afraid to go and actually buy their next house. And the fact that it could possibly be this simple, depending on your situation, is mind-blowing to me. You know, it really is. All right, so let's come back. Okay, so I promised you a 3-parter, so that's what I'm going to give to you. Okay, so now part 3, we're going to get into the world of the stock market. Something that's less talked about in this community, but I'm going to bring it up now because it all relates back to credit cards in some way or fashion. Now, in the same way that I mentioned that the Charles Schwab Platinum card, you could take all those points and put it into your brokerage account. Remember us talking about the brokerage account? So now, instead of buying the house, let's say we don't want to do that, and maybe we have a house already. How can we start building our wealth in a different way with the stock market? Well, there are technically 2 different ways. One is a little bit more powerful than the other, but I'll talk about the less powerful version right now. What you can technically do, again, the same scenario of a 500,000 Amex points. Take that $5,500 in cash, put it into your Charles Schwab brokerage account, and now you can invest in certain stocks directly. So if you're a person that wants to play it safe and you want to go with the S&P 500, and if you're unfamiliar, S&P 500 is just a basket of the top 500 companies in the entire world. It's basically a fail-safe for that if one company were to fail, you have 499 others that can perform well and boost your portfolio up. So basically you're just buying into that fund that encapsulates 500 different companies. It's considered one of the safest investment vehicles out there. At least on YouTube, on average, they always mention that it's going to be earning about 8% every single year, adjusted for inflation, over a 10-year period. Right now, inflation is kind of high, so just factor in maybe 3% gains over a 10-year period. Let's just factor that in. So say we invested in S&P 500, let's say we got $6,000 from our Amex points. That would essentially mean that that same $6,000 is going to compound by maybe say 3 to 5% every single year, or gain about $300 every single year off that money. That same $6,000 you stayed with and did nothing else with, you just put it in the S&P 500 for 10 years and you gained 5% a year on average, you now have $10,000 in your bank account. So congratulations, you made $4,000. But there is a more efficient and more profitable way. Now, when you go to actually sell those stocks in a typical brokerage account, you're going to have to pay capital gains taxes on it, whether it be long-term or short-term. You're going to have to pay 15 to 30% on all those gains, right? But there is a second option, however. There is something called an IRA, an individual retirement account, specifically the Roth IRA. Now, what a Roth IRA is essentially an account where you can put money into and it can grow tax-free for the future. Typically, you're going to have to take money that's already taxed. So if you make money and it's already taxed and now it's in your pocket, you put that in the account and all of the money will grow essentially tax-free until the age of 59 and a half, and then you could pull it all out completely tax-free. Anytime before that, you pay penalties, but let's not think about that now. Now, this account is super powerful, right? I mean, it makes sense. Over your entire lifetime, you could be gaining thousands and hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, and never actually have to pay taxes on all those gains like that other account. So what's the downside? Well, it has a limit, a yearly limit of $6,500, which means you cannot put in any more than $6,500 every single year. But here's where the secret sauce is. What is actually possible, this blows my mind, is you could actually take the same $6,000 that we got from our Amex points, right? We could actually put that in our Roth IRA completely, and it does not count towards that $6,500 yearly limit. How crazy is that? That's right, you heard me right. So what you could possibly do is, right now it's April, right? It's April and you could put $6,500 in and now you're capped for the year. But wait a sec, I also have more than 500,000 Amex points. Maybe I could pull out another $6,000 and put it into that Roth IRA, which essentially doubles the amount of money that a normal person could put in there every single year. So what does that mean? So now you don't just have the max $6,500 in there. No, now you have $12,000 in there that you can then put into the S&P 500 or any stocks that you want, same exact scenario, and gain 5% off that every single year. And again, it wasn't taxed and it doesn't contribute towards the total limit. So maybe you're a crazy traveler and you could earn 1,000,000 Amex points every single year. You could technically contribute an extra $10,000 every single year to your Roth, and it doesn't contribute to that cap. That's, my God, this is crazy. So I don't know if I lost you guys so far, but please stay with me. This is important stuff. It's going to help you for the future, I guarantee you. Let's get a little more crazy. And let's just say in this scenario that maybe we actually were able to earn 100,000 Amex points every single year, and we did nothing but invest that yearly. So $1,100 every single year back into this account. What would that look like over a 10-year period? And what would that look like over a 30-year period? All right, folks, after doing the math, in the end of 10 years in that scenario, you will actually have $33,000 in your brokerage account. Seems good, seems not bad, but what about 30 years? What if we just were to go from 18 years old to 48 years old? Well, had you been diligent, put all those Amex points in there, and did nothing else, just American Express points every single year, didn't contribute any other cash, at the end of 30 years, you will have about $130,000 in your brokerage account. Okay, since you asked, what happens if you do $6,500 every single year and the Amex points? Well, $561,000 in 30 years. You're welcome. Not saying it's perfect, not saying it's guaranteed, and not saying you even should do this for the future, because some people want to live now and not for the future, right? But all I'm saying is, all of these scenarios, right, making hundreds of thousands of dollars in real estate, or making $500,000 in stocks over a 30-year period, all of this stemmed from what? It started with that same scenario we talked about, how we were 18 years old and we got our first credit card with Capital One. We got that secured credit card. our dad told us to actually get good credit because it means we're going to be getting a lot of value and people trust us more. And we were able to use that credit card and we paid it off diligently every single month at a young age. In just a 3-year period, by the time we were 21, we were able to buy a house. We were able to invest in certain stocks and save a lot of money on rent. And we still got a lot of experiences by using Built and Hyatt points and just life in general. So we were able to diligently build our credit score. We worked hard and we got an over 700 credit score. We became debt free. We used this advice and we actually used our membership reward points and we bought a house. We invested in stocks. And now 10 years in the future, we're now 28 years old and we own a house. We have money in the bank. We have stocks. We have all of these things. And where did it all start from? Taking care of your finances and being diligent and investing in the right investment vehicles for your future. You did the right thing and now it has paid off. So that is why I don't care what anyone says about how credit cards are not valuable, because they actually could be the most valuable thing in the entire world. Not saying you couldn't buy a house and couldn't invest in stocks without credit cards, but it's just the fact that you could do something so small in most people's eyes, achieve so much in the future just by doing those small few things over a long period of time. So with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I actually had a really good time watching this and you got to see me get emotional for once. So I hope this is valuable and I hope it shows you a light for the future, because you guys are doing great and I want us all to prosper and make a lot of money and have fun and live life while we can. Okay, so hit the subscribe button, like, I don't care what you do. Share this video to whoever wants to see this, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.